We'll go ahead and get started. Hello and welcome to the 2022 NCAA Division I Women's Basketball Championship first and second round practice day press conference. A few reminders: please silence your cell phone, and flash photography is not permitted during this press conference. This will be conducted in person and over Zoom. We will take questions in the room first, and then we will go to questions in the Zoom. Please raise your hand, and we will get a microphone to you. Also, state your name and your outlet before asking the question. We will begin with an opening statement from the head coach and then take questions for the student athletes, at which time we will dismiss the student athletes and then take questions for the head coach. We are joined today by Oregon head coach Kelly Graves, Nyara Sabally, and Sedona Prince. Coach, take it away.
All right, well, thank you. Well, first and foremost, we're excited to be here. I mean, that goes without question. I think we never take this for granted. We're fortunate to be in the field, personally, I'm not sure these guys quite understand it. We've tried to talk about it, but personally, I'm really thrilled to be here in Knoxville because this is really the epicenter of women's basketball and has been for a long time. So it means a lot to me. I've actually coached here before, back in the day against Coach Summit, but we're just thrilled to have a chance to compete in this great tournament.
All right, questions for the student athletes? Right here in front.
James Carpy with the Oregonian. Nyara, we had discussed just what your thought process was in terms of the future a couple of weeks ago. Or if you're able to share, if you're either closer to a determination of what you're plan to do once the season is over, and what those factors will be into that decision.
I haven't really thought about it too much in the past days. I'm really just focused on ending the season right now and just playing each game, as many games as we get to play, and then the decision will be made after the games are over, and then it will kind of just be a decision that I make in the moment. So.
Right back down here in front.
For Sedona, can you speak to the relationship that you have had with Nyara over these past couple of seasons? Because it is unique compared to other teammates because of the recovery that both of you had to go through and that dynamic. What has she meant to you over the last couple of seasons where, again, when your redshirt season, for example, and those things of just your relationship is different with her compared to other teammates?
Yeah, we kind of had that bond those first 2 years. We both weren't playing, so we had to fill those new roles, and we ended up getting really close. So, yeah, it's just way different. I think Nyara and I have a really close bond. We've been through a lot of hard things, a lot of ups and downs these past couple of years, and it's been rough, but we've kind of gone through it together. Through the happy moments and sad moments, we've cried a lot, laughed a lot, and so, whatever her decision is, I'm going to be proud of her. I'm going to support her. She's an incredible basketball player, but a more incredible person, and so, yeah, she's definitely I'm very grateful to have her in my life and in my journey.
For both players, you've been to the tournament, but this will be the most sense of normalcy, I think, around a tournament in terms of both your participation and then just sort of, the crowd and everything like that. Just for both of you, just what you're anticipating in terms of atmosphere and environment, and presumably looking forward to it compared to experiences for you both personally in years past.
I'm super excited. This is crazy to think about, but this is my fourth year in college, and this is the first time I actually get to play a real postseason with fans in the stands. So I'm super excited. I think we have a great team. I think we're going up against great teams. So I'm just excited to get started.
Yeah, me as well. Also fourth year, first year in front of fans with a normal kind of NCAA tournament experience. So we're excited. We're gonna make the memories all we can. Have a lot of fun. Not take any moment for granted. And all the girls are really excited as well. So it'll be fun, and we're just excited to see where it takes us.
Nyara, what's the difference just been year over year where you guys are at Matthew Knight for the first two rounds? Last year it's COVID. This year it's here. Just from a travel going to and from the hotel. Now the COVID regulations the NCAA has aren't as strict as they were last year. Just what's it kind of been like off the floor, and how has that kind of changed every single year for you guys?
I mean, it's definitely different. It's definitely the traveling is. I kind of like traveling. I think it's fun. I think it like kind of brings the team really close together. You make fun memories. Obviously, the first years hosting it was amazing with our Duck fans in the stands, but I have no doubt we'll see some Duck fans in the stands here. They follow us everywhere we go, so I'm really excited for that. But I just think it's a whole different atmosphere, especially this year. Like the fact that we don't have to like be restricted, only our team. Like we can go out, go to Starbucks, take a walk, stuff like that. So it's definitely better this year.
Cora Hall with the Knoxville News Sentinel. This is for both of you. Kelly said he tried to kind of impart to you guys what it meant to play here, what it meant for him to be here personally. What would you guys kind of take away from that? What does it mean to you to be kind of at a place where it meant so much to women's basketball?
Yeah, I mean, just to be able to be here, all the history for women's sports, it truly is, inspiring to us and our young teammates as well, to learn about Pat Summitt and what she did for, women's basketball as a whole sport, for their athletes that she had. And so, it's just kind of inspiring to us, very educational. We get to learn and be in a place where women's basketball kind of just, made its name and definitely changed the world. And so we're excited. It's definitely cool, an experience, a lot of memories. And so, yeah, it's going to be fun.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, like Sedona said, it's going to be a nice experience to learn. We're going to go to the Hall of Fame later, which I'm really excited about. I actually didn't know much about, like, the history of Tennessee. Growing up in Germany, I didn't really hear a lot about it. So, I mean, I'm really excited to learn about, like, the history that this place holds.
Teresa Walker, the Associated Press, for Sedona and Nyara. Sedona, your video last year on social media helped get so much attention to some of the disparities between the women and the men's tournaments. Still early, but have you noticed any improvements beyond the logo at this point? Have you opened the swag gifts yet? And what do you want to maybe see and hope to see this year?
I think we wanted to stray away as much as possible from last year, just because, our sport has done a lot to make improvements, and now that we have them, I don't really see a point in talking about the inequalities that we had. And so we're just excited to be here, honestly. This is a first year for everyone. We're going to make a lot of memories and stuff, but it's about basketball now, and that's what I want it to be about. I want the world to kind of just watch our team and not associate it with that, but associate it with how great we are on the court. And so, again, with everything, it'll kind of be, we'll see. But we're excited. We're very thankful for the NCAA. They've made changes. It's all we wanted. And so now it's just, time to ball. That's all I got to say.
Very well said.
Are there any more questions in the room before we move to the Zoom?
I realize I'm asking post players about a guard, but bear with me. To Belmont specifically, obviously, Wells is the engine for them. In the roles that you play when she's obviously getting to the hoop, how will you each go about that and the challenge of trying to contain her since she is so clearly obviously their main and primary weapon?
We talked about it in practice. Like, the focus is to protect the basket. Especially us, we're probably not going to be guarding her on the perimeter. So just protecting the basket, walling up, defending without falling. But definitely, she's the kid that makes the team go. Great player. She's as good as any player we've played in the Pac-12. So we just need to contain her and rely on our length.
Yeah, like Nyara said, we're not necessarily going to guard her on the perimeter, but when she comes in the paint, we're going to have to be strong and not foul. It's a thing we've been working on all year. And so, and she also gets that energy going for the team. Once she gets a couple baskets, it's hard to come back from that. And then, she inspires the rest of her teammates to get going as well. And so, if we just contain her, she's going to make shots, but not, we got to contain her to not a lot. And so, yeah, if we just go out and play harder, I don't have any doubts in our team.
All right, we have one question from Antoine in the Zoom. Antoine, go ahead if you're able to.
This question is for Kelly. I know that you said you didn't know much about Belmont
want to save that, or do we want to?
Yes, at the moment, we're only taking questions for student athletes. Do you have a question for a student athlete, Antoine? Okay. Eric, go ahead if you have a question for a student athlete.
Yeah, for both of you. So much success in the Pac-12 tournament down low. Obviously, that chemistry's been developing for a couple of years. We've seen it really, I think, show up last year in the NCAA tournament too. How do you kind of, I guess, parlay that success into success this weekend in Belmont? Obviously, you guys have a size advantage. Does that feel like a focal point for you guys offensively?
I mean, yeah, obviously it's always a focus of ours to get the ball inside, play inside out. I think that's a big strength of ours. I mean, not just with us both, but the players on the bench. We have such big depth, especially when it comes to size. So it's always a focus to get the ball inside and just kind of doing our work early, getting position and getting deep so we can take advantage of our length inside.
Yeah, I agree. We've been talking about all year how just our inside presence is getting, how a lot of our guards to get their open shots and play their game as well. I think that's what a hard matchup for any team is. Someone 6'7", 6'8", 6'5", 6'3" in the paint, just taking it up, being able to shoot. Nearly impossible to guard one-on-one, and that makes it a lot easier for our guards to get shots and for our offense to flow. And so, it'll be fun to kind of play together and pound it inside. And so, yeah, I'm excited.
And then we'll go to Tracy Berry as well.
Hi, good morning. Quick question for both of you. It was so surreal last year in the pandemic bubble that maybe some of the wow factor wasn't there the first time at the NCAAs. I'm curious, do you feel you're going to have a wow factor going onto the court this first time? And mentally, how do you prepare for the difference between the two versions of the tournament?
Yeah, I mean, last year it's an NCAA tournament, but there weren't any fans those first two games, so it didn't really feel quite like it should have. And so this year it's going to be like our first year, kind of like freshmen again, which would be fun and exciting. And yeah, it'll definitely be different. I think stepping on that court for our first game is going to be kind of the bright lights again and the fans and the the loudness, but we're used to it, and so it'll definitely be exciting.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Kind of nervous.
All right, well, if there are no more questions for our student athletes, we'll dismiss them to go get ready for practice and open it up for questions for head coach.
Good job.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks, Cal. It'd be nice.
And we will start with questions here in the room and then go to Zoom. Again, just raise your hand and we'll get a microphone to you. Start right here and then here.
Kelly, you've spoken a lot this year about the dynamic with you and Nyara, and obviously the challenges that there have been because of injury in terms of her practice availability and those things. If you can shed a little bit more light and pull back that curtain a little bit further in terms of just what that has been like on a day-to-day of not just this season, but in summing up really these 4 years, because whatever her decision ends up being, her 4-year experience so far has not in any way, shape, or form gone according to what the plan was, for mostly reasons out of anybody's control. How do you describe that in particular this season, where she's taken so much growth, but also the availability has been an issue?
Well, I think it's a real testament to, number one, her toughness, number two, her resolve, and three, her talent. I mean, the fact that she, even to this day, is really unable to go through an entire week of practice, I think really shows, how good she is. I mean, to go out and perform the way she does in the games with limited practice time is very impressive. I feel for her. She came to Oregon in hopes that she would get to play with her talented sister Satu. That never materialized, unfortunately. But her journey, I tell you, you can't help but just love her and love everything that about her, and just the fact that you take 2 years off the way she did. That's really, really difficult, and then to come back and kind of be on and off again has been tough. So I'm happy that she now gets a chance to to play in front of the women's basketball world, so to speak, and show how talented she is. If she does go and declare, I mean, we're going to support her and love her. I mean, Satu left after her third year because she had graduated. Nyara will also graduate. And, she's got a bright professional future ahead of her. My guess is she'll be a first-round draft pick if that's what she decides to do. But she's also checked some boxes and given herself an opportunity academically to come back. So I don't know. I don't know what she'll do. And if she asks for my input, I'll let her know. I've talked to several coaches and general managers, so I kind of know where, she might either be placed or have a chance to go. But she hasn't asked me yet, and so we haven't talked about it. I believe her and when she said she's focused on this tournament.
Kelly, the situation being new for you, I know if you had the chance and you had taken it, I know you would have loved the opportunity to have hosted games at home, but after talking about flushing things from the Pac-12 tournament, is it kind of refreshing that this is an environment your players have never played in before, this is an area of the country that Oregon doesn't see very often, and that there is almost a bit of a reset and a clean slate by being able to come into a new place and really get away from the year that's kind of been, so to speak?
Yeah, well, again, like I said before, we don't take this for granted. We're happy to be in the field. We're a 5 seed. If you look at, that still puts us in the top 20. So that's the high bar we've set for ourselves when we think, wow, 5 seed, what happened? Sure, we would much rather have, played at home, and we had a chance to win a couple of games or at least one game late, and we didn't. So we didn't earn that right. So I don't. Begrudge the fact that we are a 5. We now have to come on the road and earn it. And I say on the road because I'm assuming Belmont's going to be kind of like a home team tomorrow. My guess is everybody in that color orange will also be rooting. That color orange back there, not that color orange, a little different. Will be rooting for the Bruins. So it's going to be a true road environment. I think we're okay with that. I mean, we're just going to have to make the most of it and play. I think that will. I agree with Nyara. I think that will actually get our kids up. I think we're excited to play. But we've the Bruins are going to be good. I mean, they were a 12 seed last year. If anybody knows how to compete as a double-digit seed, I mean, that's how I made my living at Gonzaga. I think personally, I've coached. I think 8 wins. Maybe that. No, maybe 9 or 10 wins as a double-digit seed. So I've been in that position. I think once you get to the NCAA tournament, man, anything can happen. We saw that yesterday in the men's tournament. We're going to see it in ours as well. So, again, we just are glad that we have a chance to compete and play, at least one more game. I don't know if that answers your question. Okay, you're a good man. Let's go, brother.
I think last year it's fair to say you wanted to stick around in Vegas longer than you did, but you bounced back and had a nice run in the NCAA tournament this year. Wanted to play an extra game or two in Vegas longer than you did. Do you feel the conditions are ripe for another kind of regroup and to stick around in this tournament for a while?
I hope so. Yeah, I hope so. Yeah, last year we kind of limped into the NCAA tournament and then really beat a good South Dakota team soundly and then upset a 3 seed. So to get to that Sweet 16, I think we're one of 6 teams to make at least to the Sweet 16 in each of the last year since 2017. So it's not a place uncommon for us, and I anticipate that we're going to play our best basketball, and we need to. Otherwise, it will be a short trip. But yeah, everybody's 0-0, and that's the beauty of this.
We'll try to kill a couple of birds with one stone on this one, Kelly, by way of personnel and things for tomorrow specifically. Yeah. What will Jackie be able to do while being at home here? I'm assuming doing a lot of video and advanced scouting for you guys since she's in that role. But is that the case? And then in terms of player availability for you guys, is Maddie a go at this point? And then lastly, to the matchup specifically, Wells and Tootie Jones and the challenge that they present to you guys.
Yeah, a lot of questions there. For those that don't know, our defensive coordinator coach, Jackie Nard-Harrison, is due any day. So she opted not to make the trip. I mean, come on, you're either all in or you're out. Let's go. No, she smartly, with her doctor and husband, decided that she would stay at home. So, yes, she's been in contact with us. She helped in the preparation before we left. We're going to miss her. There's no question. She's great on the bench, but there are certain priorities in life that trump others. In terms of, see, you can't give me 3-part questions. God dang it, crap, yeah. Okay, availability, yes. As far as I know, everybody is available to go. Not everybody's healthy, I'll say that, but everybody will be cleared to go. We did have some players this week that were limited in practice, but hopefully the adrenaline and the fact that we're actually playing will help in that regard. Thirdly, you guys, Belmont's really good. The more I watch them play, the more I realize how good they are. They don't really have a weakness that I can find right now. I mean, they're just really, really solid at both ends of the floor. I know Coach Brooks does a hell of a job and is a really good coach and one of the bright young coaches in our game. He comes from an offensive background, right? But I think their defense is what really has set them apart this year. They really defend well. Personnel-wise, they have, players that, Wells, we've already talked about, is phenomenal. She's as good as any guard we've played in the Pac-12. Reminds me a lot of Jada Curry, who plays for Cal, who actually led the Pac-12 in scoring this year. And that's kind of how we've, kind of compared her when we're practicing. Inside is at, I'm still only to the number stage, but maybe Bartley, number 3, their inside player, very good, very skilled, very patient. When she gets the ball, she's crafty, and she's got the size that can match up with us. And then 0, I think, Jones, I really like her. She's that glue player that, plays both ends of the floor, dead-eye from 3-point range. They're really solid. They're well coached. They know who they are. They play to their roles. They've won in this tournament. They won as a 12 seed last year. They're used to playing good competition. I mean, Georgia Tech and Arkansas and Mississippi beat Mississippi, Louisville. They played those teams close and played them tough. So they're not going to be intimidated by the Oregon name or kind of our tradition. So it's gonna be a good game. It's gonna be battle. Is that it? 1, 2, 3. I got you all 3. Give me more than that, and I'm in trouble.
All right, down here in the front.
Yeah.
I mean, you can call this an unofficial fourth because I'm piggybacking right off James anyway here. We had kind of both joked at the end of the presser last time we saw you. 3-point shooting. Belmont does a lot of it, and they do it well. That's something that you've harped on a lot with your guards over the course of this year. If Maddie's at least going, how much of a help does that provide, even if she's maybe not at 100% for this one, but also with Tahina and India just being able to tamp down on that side of the ball?
Yeah, overall in the season, we've actually been pretty good defending the 3-point line. We've struggled at times. We certainly struggled against Utah in our last game. But, having Maddie there full-time, and Maddie's relatively close to 100%, I think really helps. She's one of the elite defenders in our conference, which makes her one of the elite defenders in the country. But, again, with someone like Destiny Wells, it takes everybody. Because she comes off so many ball screens. They have her in different actions that there are going to be times when, these two will be on her, at least for a short period. So it's going to take everybody, and I think you've got to corral her because, she sets everything up, to be honest with you. But they have other really good weapons. I actually really like their team. They remind me a lot of my Gonzaga teams when we would roll into the tournament as a so-called underdog, and to them, they're not an underdog.
Over here on the right.
Gore Hall with the Knoxville News Sentinel. You mentioned in your opening statement that you coached against Pat Summitt, and was curious, what do you remember about that, and did coming to Knoxville kind of bring up those memories for you?
Yeah, well, it wasn't a great memory when we played here. Now it was cool playing here. When I was at Gonzaga, I had Jamie Bjorklund, who was a sister of Angie Bjorklund, who was a great player here, and so that's why we did a home and home. It's funny, when they came out to Gonzaga, they were our first sellout. Can you believe that? People would come out to see the Lady Vols when they had Candace Parker, and that was that group. I just remember the excitement around the arena. I thought it was really, even the student support was great. Sometimes we struggle with student support in women's basketball. And, and I talked to these guys. I said, Tennessee, when they were little girls, when they were just growing up, maybe before they even knew much about basketball, this was the standard by which every other program was judged. And Coach Summit couldn't have been nicer. I have a great Coach Summit story. Is it okay if I? So I think we played him 3 years in a row. We did a home and home, and then we played him in the Virgin Islands one year. And we had the late game playing in the Virgin Islands, and so when I got back to the hotel, everybody stayed at the same hotel. I went down, because I'm a big guy. I like to eat. And I went down to the restaurant. It had already closed. She was coming out. She had a big old pizza box. And I was a young coach. Didn't really know her at that time at all. But she said, Coach, I'm heading back to the room. I got some pizza. You want to share it? And so I had a chance to go up, and she had her son with her, and we just had a great time. I mean, I had a chance to really get to know her, and we shared a pizza together. And that's really the first time that I'd had any interaction with her. She was a legend. I was a nobody. And I thought that was really cool. It showed what kind of classy person that she is. We talked about lots of different things, including kids. I have 3 boys of my own. And that's where we decided to play each other in a home and home was that night. So it was pretty cool, and that's an experience that I'll remember forever. So this, where we're at today, is not lost on me. It might be on them. You can only tell them so much, but this is not lost on me. This is going to be very, very exciting. And we're not worried about the Lady Vols right now. We need to worry about the Belmont Bruins, but the venue itself is special.
Therese Walker, the Associated Press, over here.
Hi.
Hi, Kelly.
I have bad court vision. I'm sorry. I was a shooter. I wasn't a point guard.
No worries. You've been in this tournament for a few years. Can you tell any difference? How were the travel arrangements? Any improvements there? And there's all this talk about trying to improve things and even things up. Have you been able to tell much? I mean, obviously there's that behind you, but at this point, have you noticed anything yet? And then I'll follow up after your answer with a second part question rather than throw 2 at you at once. Okay?
Yeah. Thank you. Haven't really noticed anything yet, and the reason why, we pulled in about 11 o'clock last night. So our charter, I think, we're probably the last NCAA tournament team to arrive. So I haven't seen a lot yet. However, I was on a Zoom call. I kind of kidded Sedona the other day because I had to sit through a 45-minute Zoom call with the NCAA about all the changes they've made this year. I told her I was going to run her because of her and her strength last year in bringing up the equity issues that she did. They have made changes, and good on them. It's obviously been long overdue. So I'm really proud that our student athletes feel like that they can speak up and they have a voice. And sometimes they don't realize how powerful that voice is. I think now they do. So far, it looks like it's going to be a great tournament. We've learned from some of our mistakes. That being said, we still can't rest. We got a ways to go.
And to follow up, neutral sites. Coming here, there's going to, fans in this area support women's basketball. But if Tennessee advances, you could be playing them in the second round. How close do you think this game is for the women to getting to neutral sites, and how much spade work or it has to be done to make those work?
Are you ready? Yep. Okay. And I've said this for years. We were fortunate to host for a few years, and so I've been on the record for years. It's not just because we're a 5 seed and had to travel this year. I think it's time. I think for our tournament to really, truly be fair, and I think we can stand on our own merits right now. Does anybody think St. Peter's beats Kentucky in Rupp Arena yesterday? No, that's not going to happen. And things like that, I think, make the tournament magical. And so I would like to see us at some point, I don't know in what format, but kind of get away from the home sites and play in a neutral, neutral sites, neutral tournament, whether that's 16 teams at one site in the first and second rounds, whatever the format. I just think our game is growing. Our game is really, really strong right now. And, I think that would be a good thing. That being said, I'm glad we're here, and I'm looking forward to this great Tennessee crowd, all of whom will be rooting for the Belmont Bruins, and they're going to bring their own fans. I think that's great too. So I see both sides. I personally would like to see us move along and do it in a neutral sites. Yeah.
Over here.
Kelly, to speak to Nyara's experience specifically with Kim, because I know Kim has such a huge role in the program, and obviously with everybody, with every player. But because of Nyara's first 2 years specifically, and then this year, and from game one, and the knee and tweaking things, and whatever occurred in Tucson, I don't need all the details. Can you speak to just the importance of Kim and her relationship to Nyara over these 4 years?
Yeah, well, probably a question better asked, obviously, of Nyara. Kim Terrell is who he speaks of. She's our trainer, our team mom, our team psychologist, as well as the best trainer in the game. Yes, they have developed a really great friendship. I think Nyara leans on Kim not just for the physical part, but other things in her lives, and I think that's really important. And Kim, she's always there for them. She's I guess you could call her our MVP. I mean, she truly is. We have a lot of kids that get banged up. It's a long season, so everybody, takes their turns in the training room with her. But those two have a special bond. And I think Sedona, if you really talk to Sedona, I think Sedona would say she's the reason she's still here, because, she just helped her so much after her, everything that had happened at Texas physically as well as mentally. And Kim, I think it really took her, under her wing and just kind of led her through some really difficult times, some dark times. You guys, I am really blessed. These two young women here are not only great players, and they truly are. They are really strong women, great leaders, great people. Sedona, and not to change the subject, Sedona has her followers, her 3 million plus followers. You guys, they're not just basketball people. She's a rock star. We had a rock star here a few years ago named Sabrina Ionescu, and everywhere we went, it was like, oh my God, she would just get swamped by everybody. Sedona's the same, but they're not basketball people, So I think Kim's relationship with these two both really speak to her value as a part of our program.
Last one in the room, and then we'll take a question or two from the Zoom.
Kelly, along those same lines of folks on staff that make a difference here, I would imagine you can impress upon your players as much as possible about, things that have happened in past runs and what was needed mentally of those teams to get to those places. But you've got somebody on your staff who's younger, and Adi, who was a part of that as a player. What's her importance right now as far as being someone they can relate to and say, you were here when I was here, and this is what we did, and this is how you need to be to get to that point? Yeah, well, Adi Gilden, who we will elevate now as an assistant coach because Jackie is not here, I think she exemplifies everything that is good about intercollegiate athletics. What she gave us as a student athlete, or an athlete, maybe the winningest player we've ever had in the program, but what she did as a student, in her SAC commitments, and she's like the mayor of Eugene. Everybody knows her, everybody loves her, inside the program, the university, and in the community. So, she's been a valuable asset, and just kind of talking to these kids every once in a while. They need a kick in the ass. Toughen up, right? And then she's also that person that can put her arm around their shoulders and say, hey, listen, when coach says this and this and this, he's doing it because he loves you, right? She's just been great for us, and it's good to have her here. And she's developed really close friendship, especially with these two, because they were part of the program when she was playing.
And I think that really helps. So she's the bridge between that elite group that we had for a few years and this current group. We're still a very young team. Tina Pau, this is her first NCAA tournament. She's just a sophomore, great player, all Pac-12, 2 years. She didn't play in the tournament last year because she was hurt. You know, Maddie Shear, sophomore. Sydney Paris, sophomore. These two technically are sophomores, right? Because they've only played, this is just their second year, and Nyara missed half of this year and a lot of last year. So we're a really young team in terms of experience. So I'm interested to see how we're gonna do tomorrow, you know, and how they react to this hostile environment.
All right, well, we need to let Coach get off to practice. So, Coach, thank you for joining us.
Awesome. That was
And
fun, you guys.
thank you guys for joining us as well.
Okay, see ya. Am I gonna get in trouble, Lisa, from talking about that neutral sites? We've talked at length about that.